everyone, and welcome to the Action Figuratorium. My name is Mark Major. I'm a real big toy collector here in the Southeast Portlands. I'm also a small business owner. I own my own small business, a brick and mortar shop. Not Rick and Morty, brick and mortar shop, a niche sort of small business within a niche industry, within a bigger niche category. I'm a small fish in a very small pond, people. And today I'm going to be talking about essentially toy industry crash part 2. I made a video about this before where I was predicting that someone was going to go bankrupt. In fact, we did see a company, Diamond Select Toys, as well as their parent company, Diamond Comics Distribution, declare bankruptcy. It wasn't quite what I was expecting. I was looking at something more like a Hasbro or a Funko or a Super 7 or something like that. But somebody did go bankrupt, and I feel that there's more bankruptcies on the rise. But the lead-off story to this is actually going to be about the most recent round of tariffs and some announcements from some of the people like Big Bad Toy Store, and of course a Kickstarter which I had covered recently, Longbox Heroes Wave 2 canceled their Kickstarter when it was announced today that there would be at some point in the future an increase of tariffs on goods from China, supposedly in the 54% range, which, I mean, we kind of get everything from China. You're going to put everything at 54%, that's going to put America first. There's more to the story than meets the eye, but the fact that they canceled tells me something about them. And some of the things that I'm going to say in today's episode, I don't think that they're going to come off as being particularly pleasant. Some of them are going to sound kind of mean, like I'm being mean to people, but I'm not really trying to be mean. I'm actually trying to help people, the general people, understand what is going on within economics and the toy industry, and to not get fooled, to not get emotional, not get sucked down, and not do stupid things like I see these companies do all the time. So for this one, everybody, because it might get a little economical, political, economical, let's stay apart. Let's everybody 10 feet space apart, but let's strap in for this. This is the Action Figuratorium. Now, was that not one of the longest intros you guys have had to sit through? It sucks, doesn't it? I'm not happy about it either. In fact, who knows? I may have to start over and cut this thing down. But I guess the lead-off story should be, we should put this up, is the Longbox Heroes action figures canceled, right? And if you go to, come on, updates, give it to me, updates, dear backers. If you go to this, they're talking about new policies, additional 35% on top of existing 20%, meaning we now face over 50% tariffs. Okay, so a couple things I want to talk about in regards to this. First of all, historical context, right? And why these people are being dishonest or they're dumb, being dumb. First of all, the first round of tariffs that were put onto China was by the Trump administration in 2018. Did Big Bad Toy Store raise their prices 10% then, 6 years ago? Did they? I don't know. I don't remember. But they recently raised them 20% not so long ago. I should bring that post up. Big Bad Toy Store raised their prices 20% based on the tariffs on China. But that 20% takes into account the existing 10%. You see, when the Biden administration came in, they left the 10% tariff on. That's the same 10% in that 20% that's been going since 2018. These toy companies that are charging you, they're dishonest. They should have charged you that extra 10% in 2018. Did they let it go for 6 years? In which case, oh, that was nice. But they should say something to the effect of, we didn't want to eat the tariffs, but now we have no choice but to. Okay, it's their prerogative, whatever you want to do. At the same time, if I choose not to spend my money with you because of dishonesty, that's up to me, isn't it? I'm not forced to buy your product. So when we look at these tariffs, right, here's what I'm really asking myself. Longbox Heroes, Kickstarter for action figures, these things take 2 years, people. 2 years for them to fulfill. That's when you would be paying your tariffs. Where are the tariffs going to be then? It seems like for somebody to come out and announce the tariffs are coming up in the future, and then you just instantly push the button like, oh, tariffs coming, I got to close it down, close it down. It sounds like you're not really in it to win it. You're not really a business. You're just a vanity project, like so many other vanity projects, and you just hear whatever the headline is, and you go with it. Because otherwise you would have done actual research to see if something could be done, something could be circumvented to get around this if you really want to make this happen. For example, there are certain industries that are lobbying to not have these tariffs levied on them. For example, these tariffs seem to be not be coming on the toy industry, right? Which they could, but then again, these tariffs are really aimed at aluminum and steel and raw materials, and that they're really not going to actually put a tariff on a pallet of action figures coming from China for some company, are they? Well, I'm not saying that they couldn't, that they're not going to, but I am saying that you wouldn't see that for 2 years, because that's when your product is going to be ready, canceled. The reality of the matter of this is that another company called Four Horsemen Studios launched their own project to make a luxury item, a dragon that chalked in at $550, plus a couple of add-ons that were $150, plus shipping, which was about $100 per box of thing, which I thought was kind of unusual because their product's not going to be ready for 2 years. How do I even know I'm going to be living here in this state at this address in 2 years from now? In 2 years from now, I may move to New Jersey. Howdy, neighbor, can I come pick it up? No, you paid $75 shipping for it to go to Oregon. You got to get it there. Doesn't make any sense what these companies are doing, but whatever. The point is that these guys, Four Horsemen Studios, have now sucked out between $1 and $2 million of disposable income from the collector's market, and that this thing wasn't going to fund anyways, even though I said it would, because this is Wave 2. Wave 1 was launched successfully without a Kickstarter, which makes me think that Wave 2 of this with a Kickstarter should fund, but it apparently, from what I can tell, with how many days it clicked down, how much money they'd raised, was not going to make it with all of the money being sucked out of the room by the Four Horsemen Studios. And I think that that is why they canceled. I think they canceled not because of these tariffs, because if you really want your business to succeed, if you really believe in this, and you know that in 2 years from now is when you're going to have to pay these tariffs, and also the fact that whenever these tariffs go up, like, hey, here's a tariff on Mexico, here's a tariff on Canada, the next day, those companies call up and they say, yeah, what's your demands? You want free maple syrup? Okay, tariffs are gone, right? These are just moves and counter moves in order to get what we want in terms of the trade wars. Oh, we want you to not tax our cars, or we want you to not tax this item, or we want you not to take a tariff on this. And then they work out an agreement. You give it a day, you give it a week, you give it a month. In this case, they had 2 years to work out the tariffs, but they folded the second a press release came out announcing that there would be some sort of tariffs against China coming up. Okay, but this is all, to me, small potatoes. This is just the lead-off story. The reality of the matter is this, folks. Let's get to the crux of the biscuit and what I'm calling Toy Industry Crash Part 2, all right? The fact of the matter is that the whole thing about these tariffs and importing of stuff is really this, is that we as a culture, as a society, are overproducing. We are making too many toys. Now, this is going to hurt action figure collectors' feelings when I say this, because we all want every possible thing that we can get and more, and we want it for cheap and we want it right now. I understand that. I'm in that group. That's me who's raising his hand. I'm the leader of that group. I'm the president. I said, give me the stuff cheap. Give it to me now. I want all of it. But you have to be unemotional about this. You have to disconnect from the situation. You have to remove yourself and look from the outside in, and realizing that we're producing way too much stuff, that we don't have the disposable income in our pockets from our jobs to afford everything that's being produced. For example, we don't need Goonies action figures. I know you're like, no, I need them. You don't. You don't need the Goonies action figures. It's okay for Hasbro to come out with their G.I. Joe classified Slither band. I think that's kind of funny. If they want to do that, that's fine. We don't need Super 7 to make a Slither band, okay? We're not going to need Mezco to come out with their 1/12 Slither band. We don't need all these toys being made. Even if these are some of the better toys, more kick-ass toys out there, we don't need them. All these things tie down the factories. They tie down the resources. They compete for market share amongst us. They compete for our money, and there's just not enough money and market share to go around for all these toy lines. We don't need a return to Mask. We don't need a return to Biker Mice from Mars. We don't need any of that trash. We didn't actually really need, as awesome as it is, we didn't need this vanity project from the Four Horsemen of this dragon that has sucked down $2 million of disposable income from the toy collecting community for a product that people aren't going to see for 2 years, and which, who knows, for all we know, could be subject to a tariff of 54%. Wouldn't that be funny? Oh, here's your dragon. It's now like $1,500 or something. Who knows? The point I'm trying to make is that we're overproducing as is. We need to thin the herd. These guys canceling is the best thing for us. Even though, no, I put it away. I'm a huge fan of Mike Allred. I'm a huge fan of his Madman character and the comics, and of course the action figures. And if this Wave 2 was successful, they were going to unlock a Madman action figure, even though it's not in any particular scale that works for me. I still, for 25 bucks, I still would have plunked down and got it because I'm a fan. This is what fans do, but this is also the problem, is that fans feel the need, emotionally feel the need, to take their hard-earned money and put it towards a thing that isn't safety, isn't food on the table, isn't security, isn't any kind of long-term good health. It's just a tchotchke that sits there on the shelf. And some of this stuff, like when we talk about the dragon from Four Horsemen, we're talking about something that's going to come in a box, somebody's going to put it under the bed, and no one's going to talk about it. It's like a Schrodinger's cat, people. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about a thing that just doesn't even have to exist, and yet it's tied up all of this money that could go to anything else you can think of. Just pick anything. Pick something random, throw it at the wall. Could exist, right? So what we really need at this point is more cancellations. We need more thinning of the herd. We need to get rid of some of these toy companies. We need to get rid of a lot of these toy lines because there's just not enough money out there to support these things. And the things they're making are stupid. They're not healthy for culture, for pop culture, for nostalgia. Some of the stuff they're making is 100% pure garbage, pure trash, pure useless trash that we don't need. And it sucks that a real big toy collector, in fact, here, you want some production level? Let's get this production level going. Someone here who's a real big toy collector in Southeast Portland has to say these things. But the truth of the matter is that we're headed for a crash. We're headed for a recession in this country. It's going to happen. The powers that be are going to make it happen. They're pushing every single button. They're hitting every single leg on the table or chair to knock it over. They want this crash to come. Why? Because whenever you crash a system, whenever you take something down, that's why they have wars, so they can go in and they can wipe out the old system and put in a new system, right? It's the only way they can do this so that they can get this new world whatever to come in and replace it, right? You're not going to have your American dollar anymore. You're going to have the Dolero or whatever it is. You're going to have your, USD coin or something, and it's just some kind of a virtual token, and it's on your watch. And if you don't have your watch, or if you speak out in public, it's gone. It's This is really what they want. They want some sort of new system, something where everything is on a digital blockchain. Every tree is a serial number and digitized, and you can buy and sell and trade it. It's everything as a commodity. And if you screw up the system, you're out of the system. Get out of here, right? And the only way they can do that is crash it, and that means the toy industry is going to suffer. So here's what I'm recommending to people. Be very cautious with what you buy. Buy, if anything. If you feel that you don't need something, don't get it, okay? There's no fear of missing out, because whatever they're making right now, no one's going to be able to afford it, and it's going to be in abundance, right? You think the stuff at Ollie's is bad? You wait until you start seeing things like Figma and Good Smile Company and Bon Presto and Figure Arts and Monster Arts at places like Ross and Goodwill and Ollie's and Big Lots. You just wait, because they're going to have to move all of the stuff that they're making when they realize that nobody can afford it. So, is this a bad thing that these guys canceled their Kickstarter? No, I think it's actually going to be a good thing. It's good for everybody. I do think that if you really believe in your business, you believe in your business model, and you know that the product isn't going to have to pay a tariff for 2 years, because that's when it's done, that you would have stuck it out. In fact, you would have doubled down. In fact, you would have tried even harder to make this work, knowing that everyone else is going to thin out because they're weak. But these guys folded, they collapsed, and I'm sorry, I wish that they could have done it, but they chose not to do it. It was their choice. They took the first opportunity to flake and bail, and they're gone. So, if this is a bummer for you, I'm sorry, but this is the reality. Try and make it something awesome. Cherry pick the stuff you really love. Hang on to the things that you think are valuable. Get rid of crap in your life. That's what I think I'm going to do for the next 12 months or so. With that, thanks to everybody who made it this far into the video. You are very appreciated. If you can like and subscribe, that's great. That's something you do on your own time, but something that we all do together, so we stay charged. And you know what? Stay charged.